Hello, and welcome to Behind the Inspiration Podcast. I am your host, Ken Waller. In keeping up with the theme of Women History Month, I have a special guest with me today. Her name is Rita Ross. Rita is the owner of Ross Insurance Agency, an independent agency serving clients across Maryland. The Ross Agency offers prompt, professional service for auto, home, business, and life insurance coverage tailored to support its customers' needs. So without further ado, I'd like to thank Rita for taking the opportunity and of course her time to join the Behind the Inspiration Podcast. And I just want to say thank you, Rita, for joining us. I am very, very happy that you took the time again to be on this podcast because you have an awesome business. You have an excellent story to tell. And I'm sure that your information will inspire our listeners. So again, thank you, Rita, and welcome.
And thank you for inviting me. Thank you.
You're welcome. You know, the theme of this podcast and this actual, there's a video because we're simulcasting, is inspiration. And I always ask my guests, well, what inspired you to go into the insurance business?
I got laid off from my corporate job. At the time, I thought it was the worst thing that could have happened. I remember getting my notice, walking down St. Paul Street crying. You know, just what am I going to do? I just bought my first house. And so I had a friend who worked for a local insurance agency, and she got me a job where she worked. And I loved it. I loved the smaller setting. I love meeting all of these different people. And I just love selling insurance. So that's how I got into insurance. I got laid off, and I thank you for the layoff.
I'm
now
sure.
I do.
Yeah.
But that's how I started in insurance.
Yeah. And it's interesting because, you know, insurance is one of those things that most of us, you know, sometimes including me, feel or realize the different aspects of insurance, whether or not it be auto, home, business, or life insurance coverage. So if you can you expound on some of the differences, or I should say, or should ask, are there any disparities in regards to how insurance rates and things like that are done? Can you share a little bit about that? Or?
Oh, absolutely. When I first started in insurance, rating was based on your zip code, and it was based on your driving record. Mm-hmm. And if you were under 25, it was based on your age. Now I noticed that insurance companies are using algorithms, and your rates are based on things that has nothing to do with your driving ability.
Okay.
They're now asking for your education. How far did you go in your education? They're asking about your occupation. So we could live in the same neighborhood. Mm-hmm. We could be the same age. But if I have a PhD and you only have a high school diploma, you're going to pay more money.
Wow.
It's called algorithms. And that's what insurance companies are using now.
So, of course, I would think that would be unfair to the average person like myself. And I'm sure that my listeners probably will be thinking the same thing. So you mean, I'm just trying to figure out, that's not illegal for them to do that? Is there any type of moratorium or mandate where there's something in place that they can't?
No, it's statistics. It's artificial intelligence, and they're trying to say a group of people are more likely to put in claims as opposed to another group of people. Mm-hmm. It's artificial intelligence.
So in other words, I'm sorry to cut you off, but a thought just hit me in the head. So in other words, so that quote unquote call that you make to your insurance company and say, okay, somebody hit me, but they lightly tapped me, even if you don't have any damage to your car, but if you make that call, how is that being like charged against your insurance?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
So
for example, if you came to me to get insurance and I asked you, I said, Ken, have you had any claims against your policy, let's say in the last 3 years? Mm-hmm. And you told me, no, nothing, that was my fault. But I pulled your report and I can see the last 5 years. And I said, well, you called into that 1-800 number 7 times. So insurance companies, they're looking for frequency, how many times you actually call that claims number. Mm-hmm. So you told me you didn't really have anything, and I can see, hey, you done called in this many times. So they're now counting towing claims, they're counting windshield glass claims, they're counting PIP claims. They are counting everything. So that's what I mean. Insurance underwriting, it has changed in the last 30 years. It's changed. And it's hard for me sometimes to explain why insurance rates are going up. Because even though they use these algorithms, they don't tell us exactly what, things they are using. They don't tell us that.
So the average person, hypothetically, that will be looking for insurance to cover this new car, and say, for instance, they sued somebody in an accident or whatever, and there was a case that came up, and say, for instance, that person received money or whatever from that accident. Is that recorded anywhere? So when they go to look for insurance, would they be charged with, being a part of a case or something? No.
Let me clean it up. Insurance companies give you a discount for being claims free. Mm-hmm. Let's say for the last 5 years. Mm-hmm. So if you're in an accident and you're tapped by someone and you sue the other person, what is going to show up is that personal injury claim, that PIP payout that your insurance company has to pay out. So you're going to lose your claims-free discount. Wow. So I'm just saying they're counting every claim that has to be paid out. They're counting every claim that you call in, even though it was a zero payout. They're counting everything.
That is so interesting. That's so much of just a wealth of information that you're passing on, Rita, because, again, the average person doesn't know anything about how insurance will work. And that's why I was so eager to get you on, just to talk about those things that you just mentioned. But I just want to go back to you a little bit, if we can. You're a very successful businesswoman. You belongs to the WOO organization, Women Empowering Women. I do know that. You have kids, so you have a lot of things going on that are most certainly positive. So throughout all of that and growing up and, working in corporate America, what really, or who, I want to ask who inspired you to move forward so powerful to get to where you are today? So who inspired you? Is there any particular person who inspired you?
Oh, my grandmother. She raised me. Yeah, my grandmother inspired me. My mom died when I was 6 years old, so my grandmother raised me. Yeah. She was a hard worker. She meant what she said, and she said what she meant. Okay.
Yes.
I had no option. She said, "You're going to college," and I had to go to college. My friends, they got jobs with state and federal governments out of high school. No, she said, "Rita, you going to college." And so I went to college. I always wanted to make her proud. I just always wanted to make my grandmother proud of me.
That's interesting because you attended Villa Julie / Stevenson now and Towson State University. Is that correct?
Yes.
So how was that experience for you? I mean, just in school? I mean, I'm not sure what your major was, and really, if you want to share, that's fine. But I mean, just to be able to reach that level of knowledge and to be out here now doing things that you were inspired by your grandmother to do. I'm sure that if you could you pass on, is there anything that you can pass on to maybe any young folk or just people in general that may want to get into business? What tools can you give them to be on that road to success?
You treat your clients the way you would want to be treated. And if you do that, you will have a successful clientele. You know, they're going to refer people to you. I'm going to tell you about a mistake I made, okay? Someone was referred to me, had a beautiful house out in Howard County. And he said to me, Rita, I ain't got time to read over everything. He said, you see what I have. You just make sure my stuff is covered correctly. I said, I got you. So he had been a customer of mine for 4 years. And I get a call on my cell phone. He had water in his basement. That was when all of that rain was going on a couple years ago and people's homes in Howard County was flooding. So I said, that's a sewer backup claim. I said, you got it. You got the coverage. So when I got to the office, I looked at his policy. Now this man has a beautiful finished basement. He only had $5,000 worth of coverage. For sewer and drain. So the company that I had written his homeowners through, they used to always, if you hit that you wanted sewer and drain backup, they would give you 100% coverage. But they changed and they gave you options where you could opt for $5,000, $10,000, $50,000, $60,000. And I forgot to hit the drop down button because I was so used to just clicking to add it. So I went out to his house that next morning. And I admitted, I said, I messed up. I could have easily said, well, you signed the application, and that's all you had. But I knew I messed up, and I admitted to him, I said, I messed up. And I said, I'm going to have to fix it. So I paid for his basement. You know, thank God it wasn't a $80,000, $90,000, but I paid for his basement.
Yeah, and that's just the fact of integrity. You know, you showed integrity, you showed honesty, and those things are critical when you're, dealing in business. Because again, I was in business before, so I understand those are some of my key aspects of business, is to make sure that my integrity was intact more than anything. So that was awesome that you went back and you told them that you did make a mistake, and that's good stuff. Well, Rita, without further ado, no, go right here. I'm sorry.
You just make sure, and you do the right thing. It may cost you, but just always do the right thing by your clients. And they'll come back and they'll refer people to you. But just always do the right thing.
And Rita, with time, I want to kind of close up on that note. But I want you to know that the information that you gave is so valuable. And I really appreciate you coming on. I want to let you know that you're welcome to come back on this podcast anytime. If there's anything come up, as far as new rules, new regulations, I would love to have you come back and share that information. If you want to know more about Rita, you can also read her information in her bio in the show notes of this podcast. You can also reach out to her at getrossinsurance.com. I'm sure you can also find her on social media, and you can also you will find her link in these show notes as well. I'll make sure that communication is out there for you to take advantage of. So family, please support Ms. Ross. She's one of our own. And I just want to say thank you again, Rita, for joining the Behind the Inspiration podcast, where we encourage, where we motivate, and of course, we inspire. So if you like this podcast or any other of my podcasts, please subscribe, like, just click that like button and we'll be in there. So guys, again, peace and love. You guys know that this is the show that we encourage. There's motivation, there's encouragement always on the Behind the Inspiration podcast. Thank you. Peace and blessing. Bye-bye.